If you've watched the American Artifact series for any amount of time, you know that we have showcased a lot of artifacts that connect us to the history of the American paratroopers in World War II. But there's one really unique set of guys that we haven't touched on yet who jumped into Normandy with mohawks and war paint. The Gettysburg Museum of History has a few artifacts connected with one of these guys that we brought with us. But first, we're starting off with a visit to our friends at the D-Day Experience at Dead Man's Corner to learn a little bit more about some wild guys who were called the Filthy 13. All right, we just got in here into the D-Day Experience, and there's a lot of people here today. But we've done a video here before, and this is one of my favorite museums. The collection that they have here is outstanding. Like, for example, here they have Eisenhower's leather flight jacket. You can see the 4 stars there. Just all kinds of cool stuff that is in this museum. Now, in a prior episode of American Artifact, we showed a lot of things here at the D-Day Experience, but I thought I'd just kind of recap a few things. So here we can see a few famous pictures that were taken by Forrest Guth at the Marmion farm, and here at D-Day Experience they have a lot of Forrest Guth stuff, including you can see his jump jacket here, which you can see some of the modifications that he made. Guth was quite a character. And then if we move over here, if you watched the series Band of Brothers or read the book, of course, probably the most prominent figure is Dick Winters, and they have a lot of his stuff here too. This is just like the tip of the iceberg of what you can find at this museum. All right, now there's a display that I'm wanting to take a look at here in just a moment, but first, they have a C47 simulator here in this museum that is absolutely amazing. So we're going to go in and take a quick look at that first.
Soldiers, I need your attention. If the weather forecast is confirmed, in 5 minutes you will be in the air, heading for France. You understand me? This is not an exercise. Tonight, we will be dropping over Normandy. You might as well call it California, or Kentucky, or West Virginia, my home state. Because we're fighting for something bigger than all that. A place with no borders, no limits. It's called liberty. If we should fail here and now, it will be our countries, our homes, our people, and the rest of the world who will fall and be trampled by the boots of fascism. The weather report's not great, but since we're not going on vacation, this will not postpone the mission. Soldiers, the operation is confirmed. The Supreme Commander, General Eisenhower, has ordered us to go and asked me to give you this message. Sergeant, pass this message out. Tomorrow will be the 6th of June, 1944. I can guarantee you this will be a date remembered throughout history. Failure is not an option. There is no one coming after us. The fate of the world is in our hands, here and now.
All right, well, we just got done with our briefing and got out here to our C47. Something that's kind of cool about this immersive experience is that this is actually the C47 that was used on the set of Band of Brothers. So anyway, we're going to hop up in here, grab a seat, and load up everybody else and see what it's like. Alright, we just got in here and got set up in the fuselage here of the C47. And Eric actually has some video of Brad Freeman, who was the last survivor of Easy Company, in this very ride. It's pretty cool.
About that.
When the machine is starting,
Is that just like it was?
standing on the door.
So, how close was that to being authentic?
Well, when we went through the cars in Jersey Island, they'll buy the red car.
Yeah.
Because it was just that away. And,
but you think this ride was very close to the way it felt?
yeah.
Control the other people's.
Yeah.
Well, that is pretty darn incredible. What they put into that experience really is unparalleled. All right, now have one other thing that I want to take a look at before we get back out into the field and look at an artifact that we brought from the Gettysburg Museum of History. Well, here at the museum, they have a special display dedicated to a group of wild guys who were called the Filthy 13. So if you've ever heard of the Dirty Dozen, they were loosely based off of the Filthy 13, except for these guys weren't criminals, but they were absolutely wild. So the Filthy 13 was a demolitions platoon that jumped with the 101st Airborne on D-Day. And they were tasked with taking care of a few bridges near the town of Brevens. I think that I'm pronouncing the name of that right, but it could be wrong. They got the name the Filthy 13 from the fact that, well, they didn't really bathe that much. But anyway, they were just these wild guys and went into D-Day with mohawks and with war paint. They were inspired by a guy named Jake McNeese, who was part Choctaw. Here we're looking at some stuff from Jack Womer. So you can see the sleeve off of his jump jacket and also his cricket. Here is the Bible that belonged to Jack Womer, so that's really cool. He had a mortar go off like just a few feet away from him on D-Day, and he miraculously survived and was just burned a little bit. But anyway, there's some video and film of these guys getting ready to go in on their jump, and here's a very famous photo right here. So there on the right is Jake McNeese. He was part Choctaw and kind of inspired the war paint and the mohawks. And on the left there is Jack Agnew. And they have some things that belong to Jack Agnew. So you can see that glove there that is blood-stained. That is from him carrying another paratrooper to an aid station. And also here, they have the demolitions pack that was custom made by one of the riggers that Jack Agnew carried with him on D-Day. But yeah, these guys accomplished some pretty amazing things and were some wild men. Alright, so that's a little bit that they have on the Filthy 13 right here at the DDay Experience. If you ever come to Normandy, definitely come to this place. It's seriously one of the most amazing museums that you'll ever go through. But now, we're going to head out to another site and take a look at an artifact that we brought from the Gettysburg Museum of History that is tied to the Filthy 13. we've moved out from the museum, and we've moved down to the area around a place called Laporte. Now, on D-Day, the guys from the Filthy 13 and the 3rd of the 506, their objective was 2 bridges along a waterway that leads to Carentan. One was a footbridge and one was a vehicular bridge. And the idea was for them to secure these bridges. If they could hold them, then it could be used as a link up between the forces at Utah Beach and Omaha Beach. But if the Germans were going to possibly take possession of them, they were to blow the bridge. And they have a monument here in really kind of an obscure area to the men of the Filthy 13. This is a really neat memorial. So here, of course, you can see one of these Filthy 13 guys depicted with the mohawk. And then here on the monument itself, well, this is not only to the Filthy 13 from the 506, but also C Company of the 326th Airborne Engineer Battalion. So if you're going to blow a bridge, well, it's probably good to have some engineers who like doing that kind of stuff. But anyway, here it says the Filthy 13 was the nickname of the demolition platoon attached to the 3rd Battalion of the 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment. And then, yeah, they were supported by C Company of the 326th Airborne Engineer Battalion. It had to be dropped on the Drop Zone D, situated south of Vierville, east of Angeville-Alplaine. And then it talks about them striking southward to get the bridges that I was mentioning earlier. But yeah, this is a really nice monument. And then here they have kind of a memorial to those who were killed here. But we've also got something. We looked at some stuff at the D-Day Experience. We also have a very rare artifact from the Gettysburg Museum of History that we've brought back to this spot.
I'm standing at the Filthy 13 monument in Normandy, and I brought with me a really special artifact, and it belonged to this man right here, which is Jack Agnew, one of the members of the Filthy 13. The Filthy 13 were part of the regimental headquarters company, and they were the demolition platoon of the 506 Parachute Infantry Regiment. And on D-Day, they were all the troopers that participated in D-Day were handed this document, which was a message from General Eisenhower. So all the D-Day participants got that one. But down here below it is a message that was given to the troopers just in the 506 Parachute Infantry Regiment, and it's a message from Colonel Sink. And it's a encouragement. I'm going to attempt to read it today. It says, "Today, as you read this, you are en route to that great adventure for which you have trained for over 2 years. Tonight is the night of nights. Tomorrow, throughout the whole of our homeland and the Allied world, the bells will ring out the tidings that you have arrived, and the invasion for liberation has begun. The hopes and prayers of your dear ones accompany you. The confidence of your high commanders goes with you. The fears of the Germans are about to become a reality. Let us strike hard when the going gets tough. Let us go harder, imbued with the faith and righteousness of our cause and the power of our might. Let us annihilate the enemy where found. May God be with each of you, fine soldiers. By your actions, let us justify his faith in us." Signed, Colonel Robert Sink, Regimental Commander, 506 PIR, 101st Airborne Division. Now, the reason why this document in particular is so rare is that on June 5th, as they were boarding their C-47s, the troopers in the 506 were handed this document, which means for it to have survived, they would have had to carry it all through the Normandy campaign. And of course, you know, for a soldier to keep a scrap of paper on them that long is almost impossible. I know of less than 6 of these that have survived. They're extremely rare. It's one of the I guess I would call it probably the rarest, if not one of the rarest, if not the rarest 506 or even 101st Airborne documents around. And Jack Agnew put these in his scrapbook, and his scrapbook kind of fell apart over the years, so this page came loose. But I wanted to bring it back here today to the general area where Jack Agnew was on D-Day, and bring it back to the spot. And it's the first time it's been back here since probably June 6, 1944. We also have this photograph, and there was a series of photos that came from a film that was made on June 5th as they were getting ready to load up onto the C47s. But I wanted to point out, this is Jack Agnew in this famous photograph, and he's loading his equipment. And to think that this message from Colonel Sink is most likely in one of his pockets, or he may be just about ready to grab this message as he's boarding the plane. But this is Jack Agnew, and the film is probably in almost every documentary about D-Day that you'll see, with their famous mohawk haircuts.